Good morning, everyone. Today we have Risa Weiss coming on to the show. She was a teacher for me and helped coach me up when I was first getting started into real estate. She's a bad woman and she's not scared to kind of take charge and control things. So I wanted her to come on to the show, help share us some of her tips and tricks on getting more confident, being in real estate, going from management to working as an individual, building teams, and so much more. We're going to have a lot of takeaways going into this show. Cheers and enjoy the show, my friends. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Terror Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercise to help make you the absolute best person you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Everyone, welcome Risa on to the show.
Good morning. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. Have you ever done have you done a formal podcast like this before, or like?
I have, but Tanner, they're not usually at 8 in the morning.
8 in the morning, yes. This morning get going. Are you a morning person? Do you work late into the evenings? What's your style?
Gosh, you know what? I'll tell you, I can function at any hour that I have to, but if I don't have to, I'm a midday person.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like it's are you a coffee drinker? Do you need coffee in the morning?
Dude, totally, for sure. I got my Americano right here.
Yeah, it's sometimes that this having to is so interesting, because when people are like told what to do, or like you have to be here at this time, you have to be, it's like it just comes out of you and you're like, okay, well, I just have to do that. But when no one's telling you what to do, it's like, do I really want to make calls right now? Do I really want to put some together? How do you motivate yourself to take action when no one's telling you what the hell to do, you know?
You know, it's interesting. I've been an independent contractor for 20 years, over 20 years at this point. And I think this is the biggest struggle as an independent contractor of how do I keep myself motivated, hold myself accountable to myself? Now, I will tell you, I use a variety of strategies, and we'll talk about a few of them. But the most important one I use is time blocking. So if at the beginning of the week, I know what my time block schedule says, and I set alarms on my Outlook, I have to adhere to my Outlook. So the alarms guide my life.
This it's kind of trying this give and take of wanting to like time block. Well, you don't want to be so militant, like drink water right now at 3 p.m. Do this like a total robot, because and in your business, like people pay Risa to like handle the chaos, right? So I think you had this post the other day of like water coming down out of the ceiling and like kind of talking with people. And so how do you like handle, okay, there's a problem coming up, but I want to do time block? Do you just like push things back, or do you always address the fire when it comes up, or like how do you handle that kind of stuff?
I'm going to tell you that my time block tells me what needs to be done by the end of the day. But if there's a fire, the fire is the first thing you have to handle. So, but I will tell you that I've always used that analogy of I am the duck above water. So, the duck is very calm above water, but underneath they're pedaling. I may be multitasking in the background while handling my fire, but that gets dealt with. But the one thing that most people tend to usually put off are the things that are most important to their business, or things that are going to make them money, like prospecting and marketing. And so those are always going to happen every single day. And I do that before I do the things I enjoy. Well, I've gotten to the point where I really enjoy prospecting and marketing, but
yeah. And I mean, those are such keys to business. And apologies, folks, I kind of jumped right into it because I'm trying to get a bunch of information out of Risa myself. I guess to kind of backtrack a little bit, do you mind? She's been in this business for over 20 years. You mind telling us a bit about your journey and kind of like what brings you to where you're at today.
So I will tell you really funny. I got into this business by accident. Um, Over 20 years ago, I was an educator. I was a teacher. I was a professor. I was a school superintendent. And
Hmm.
I had a unfortunate slip and fall accident where I had to have surgery, and I was laid up for 6 months. My husband says,
Oh
"What are
man.
you going to do for 6 months?" And I
Yeah.
actually looked out the window, and there was a for sale sign at my neighbor's house. And I'm like, I'll just get a real estate license. So I
Yeah.
sat with the Wi-Fi and got my license for 6 months while I was healing, and
Hmm.
went and took the test. And I had no knowledge of real estate. I didn't know anything about it. And so that was my start of my journey. And I will tell you, I figured out really quickly um, systems and methods to doing this. I was rookie of the year, not 1 year, but 2 years. So my first year in the business, I started with my husband, and together we were rookie of the year.
Yeah.
$13 million in business my first year. And my second year, I fired him and told him to go get another job. And then I was rookie of the year on my own, and I did $21 million on my own. So that kind of propelled me into this business. But besides being a top producer, I've always wanted to help other agents figure out those systems and methods that I figured out. And so I went into training and mentoring and coaching and being a managing broker.
Yeah. This could you kind of talk about, I think it's really common and a lot of people probably benefit. So you sustained an injury and you didn't just give up or like just kind of not do anything. I know I've been injured in the past. I've been rehabbing. I messed up my shoulder, and it's really easy to get in a bad headspace when, like, did that not bother you, or did you need just want something to do, or what advice would you have for people like when you're in that state and it's like, well, I need to do something, right? Or I should.
I guess I have to first give credit to my now ex-husband for asking me what did I want to do for 6 months when my leg was in the air, because
Yeah.
that propelled me to think about it. Now, I am never been somebody to sit around and let the dust collect around me. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I took a couple days of wallowing and feeling in pain and feeling sorry for myself. But at the end of the day, you got to just pick yourself up and keep going, because this is life, and life
Yeah.
is great, and so you got to propel yourself back into life.
Yeah. So a lot has happened since then. You kind of got initially started, and I mean, technology and so many things, a lot has changed, and very quickly as you've kind of been in it. What are some principles that you took early on to kind of like be such a go-getter and like a mad producer? Were you just like knocking on everybody's door or like shouting on the rooftops? How'd you do that when it's first getting started then?
So I think you mentioned technology. What did you do to get started? What did you do to get the business? And I'm going to tell you again, unfortunately, you're making me credit my ex husband way too much today. But he built an incredible website for me, in which I had the first IDX website in Chicago, which means that people were coming to my website to search on the MLS. We were the only
Mm.
public website. So people were giving me their name, their phone number, their email, and I could see how they were searching.
Oh
Well,
man.
later on, other people did this, but what created my success was I developed a system to follow up with people so that I would
Interesting.
drip to them messages, but messages that had value to them. So that by the
Yeah.
time I connected with them, they already knew me. They knew my integrity. They knew my process. And as an educator, I was able to explain to them the process through my marketing. So by the time
Mhm.
they were ready to buy or sell, we were on the same page. So it was all about having a vehicle to get me leads and a vehicle to convert those leads.
Yeah. Talked about being an educator. How long were you doing that before you jumped into this?
Oh gosh, Tanner, you're going to make me show my age.
Oh,
Mm,
don't worry about
it
it,
was a
people.
long
We're here to
time.
learn.
It was a long time. It was a full career. So I
Yeah.
started out as a teacher, and later got a master's, two masters actually, one in educational technology and one in leadership. So I could become a principal and a superintendent. Then I got a PhD in curriculum. So I'm most proud of my curriculum work because that's what I've brought into real estate, because I feel like when I'm working with buyers and sellers, I'm always teaching.
Mm-hmm. So the value of teaching seems to come up all the time, whenever I have guests on the show or communicating with total badasses. It's like this like level of like teaching and providing value continues to come up. I guess to start with teaching, how do you teach? Is it like a done for you, or is it kind of like you educate people to do things? Could you elaborate on what you teach people?
First of all, when I am teaching other people, it's about giving back. It's not for me, it's for other people. So one of the things I teach is I teach pre-licensing for Chicago Association of Realtors. And what's really exciting for me is when people come into my class from dead-end jobs or jobs that were not really building wealth for them, and
Right.
they're able to change their career and do something that they love and create wealth and generational wealth that they can pass on to their family. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my favorite things to teach. But I also teach things like how to do business planning and how to hold yourself accountable and how to market yourself so that you're building your business and selling your houses. So I've taught a variety of topics. Today I have a team. We call ourselves the North Star Collective. There are 14 people on my team, and
Beautiful.
and we do masterminds together, and we are learning together about how to navigate in a changing market space. As you said,
Mm-hmm.
Tanner, things change all the time. Technology is
Yeah,
changing.
quickly.
The rules are changing. So we are learning together. That's why we call ourselves a collective.
That's I mean, on the teaching front, giving people, I like this notion of trying to just support people and letting them like kind of come up with the answers. I remember watching like older footage of myself or like older tapes, and like just telling people, like giving them hard advice seems to never really make big changes versus like just kind of cultivating and asking the right questions and letting people like figure it out for themselves. It's wild how when I come up with the answer, I'm happy about it and I want to do it, but when I'm like told what to do, it's easy to get stubborn. Do you see people being really stubborn in your business when it comes, I'm sure, with like pricing and so many things? How do you kind of get around a lot of this hard nosed stuff in business?
So first of all, the media tells people a lot about real estate and the real estate market. And so that's why buyers and sellers become stubborn, because they heard things in the media. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to keep educating people about what the real story is. And even if the media is telling the truth, sometimes they skew their numbers. So it goes back to my educational background. For example, Tanner, I know you're going to show my Facebook page, but right now I've got a lot of buyers saying they're scared of the market space because of the high interest rates and the unaffordability. Well, the reality is interest rates came down 1.5% in the past 30 days. So I want to help those stubborn buyers not miss out on this opportunity here. So it comes back to education, it's marketing, but this is great news for anybody who's a buyer. So as you're scrolling through and showing off my stuff here, yeah, listen, if anybody wants to take a trip around Santa's village, Santa's house is for sale, as well as his dwarfs. I don't often sell in the North Pole, but if you'd like to go up there, I'd be more than happy to check it out with you.
This Santa's house. What is going on with this?
I don't often encourage people to go check out Zillow, but there really is a virtual tour of Santa's house and the elves. And yeah, you can see even a floor plan of Santa's house.
Okay, you guys, if you're interested, I'll leave the link in here for if you want to check out Santa's house. It's just good. It's eye grabbing and gets your attention. I'm sure that's a
And
big
that's
part of
why
it.
I do it. It's marketing pieces that make people laugh because I don't want to take myself too seriously. This is,
Yeah.
real estate itself is helping people with their largest asset, but there's a little bit of levity that you need to bring to it to make
Mhm.
people realize that you can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, I mean, how do you we kind of go about that? I feel like I'm in such a rush to success or to get that next sale, to like make to do this, to do that. It's always like the next, the next, the next. Like how do you when you're working with a big team, how do we get everyone not so riled up and be like, okay, let's focus on being right here, right now.
I think real estate, as well as any sales job, is like running a marathon. You don't just hop off the couch today and start running. You take your baby steps. You start to build up your stamina till you get there.
Hmm.
And so there are a variety of tools that we utilize to build up to the marathon. And the first one is setting your goals, like you said. It's what are your goals? Are they financial goals? Um, are they spending goals? Are they life goals? Are they balance goals? Are they goals for your schedule? And once you have your goals, then we figure out how to set measurable metrics, um, so that you know whether or not you're being successful. Because you may not be successful with getting a sale today, but you may be
Hmm.
successful hitting one of your other metrics. And maybe just waking up was one of your metrics. Maybe it was waking up early enough to be on Tanner's show at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's starting. I like moving. If I'm not doing something, I do like this reduction method of just maybe not just trying not to be so hard on myself and just dial it back a little bit until we do take a step forward. It's what are some of the common challenge? So you're working with a team of 14 people,
Right.
that's are you guys all in the same area? Do you meet in person? Is it all like virtual? How do you guys like connect and like, create a strong bond between the team? How does that all work?
So the best thing about our team is we are geographically spread all over Illinois. So we've got somebody as far northwest as Wakanda out in McHenry County. We've
Okay.
got people in Lake County. We got people on the north side of Cook County. We've got
Mhm.
people down in the city on the Gold Coast, Streeterville. I've got people in South Loop. And then I've got people on the south side of Chicago. I even have
Mhm.
somebody out in Oak Brook. So we are all over. And the reason for that is we can help anybody anywhere. And together we can do that. Um, so how do we communicate? Well, we thought when we first connected that we would meet in person for our masterminds once a week, until we realized that one or two people would be close to an office because we're
Mhm.
geographically spread out and the others wouldn't, as well as
Mhm.
other people have other things going on. So we meet virtually. And I really think that meeting virtually is probably more effective than meeting in person.
Really?
I
Why do you
really
think
do.
that?
Well, first of all, we're sort of anonymous behind our squares. And so often people feel more comfortable talking and sharing behind their
Interesting.
squares,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? The person in that box. We've got the
Mhm.
chat room, we've got breakout rooms, we've got collaborative boards, we've got technology tools that can help us inspire and collaborate more than sometimes right there in the room.
Yeah. With it takes a lot of confidence and like consistency to kind of be able to like get to this state of like leadership. Is it just doing things for a long time? Like how do you learn your leadership skills? How do you like build confidence in yourself? Because I know there's a lot of times where I'm almost like scared to kind of tell people what I do because I don't want to look like an idiot or things like that. How have you been able to do that?
Tanner, you could never look like an idiot. Just stand
Oh,
up and
thank
be
you. I appreciate
proud.
it. Oh,
Just
yeah.
stand up and be proud.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to tell you, I think leadership is innate within us. Some people are born leaders, some people learn them by emulating other people that they've worked with.
Hmm.
Some people learn how to be leaders by reading a lot of books. Um, for me, my leadership skills, I think, come from my desire to help others. That is
Yeah.
who I am through and through, and I'm constantly trying to give back to others.
Yeah. It's, it seems like that's like the cheat code of life, of just creating this purpose or this desire to make a goal, a vision like beyond ourselves. And then it like kind of acts as a magnet. Like we're just born to born to help other people. Um, you, you have, I know that you have children. I don't know how many kids you have. Dose. Yes. So is it like, were you before, were you already in business like when your kids were like grown, or were they younger? I know I've gotten back flack from people before. Tanner, I can't start this business. I have children. I have this to do and I have that to do. Like what advice would you have for these people?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you that you just described people that make excuses, and you can make a million excuses in this world, but you're just setting up more obstacles for yourself. There's enough
Yeah.
obstacles in the world. Don't create those excuses. So I live in
Yeah.
a world of no excuses. I don't tolerate
Mhm.
it for myself, and I don't
Mhm.
tolerate it for my kids. So
Yeah.
I started the business when my son was 2 years old, and it was, I was in the middle of the city. I didn't have a babysitter. So quite often my kids went with me on showings. They went with me to
Yeah.
open houses. They
Yeah.
sat in the car a lot while I was doing negotiations or dropping off contracts. My kids
Mhm.
lived through my real estate career. I will tell you that both my kids tell me they will not be real estate agents. Maybe because they have been in the trenches with me for so many years and they've seen the good, the
Right.
bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
Um, and it does take a certain kind of personality to be in this business. But again,
Right.
I will tell you, my kids were never my excuse or my obstacle.
Mhm.
I have 24 hours in the day and I do what I can do every single day.
Yeah. That's probably the top objection I get with getting people to work with me, to really get more resources and effort to like work on themselves, their greatest investment. And a lot of people pull out like the busy badge, or like I just don't have time, or like I just don't want to do that. How's do you just kind of do for objection handling, I suppose? Like when people, reject or this and that, like is it just training you and your team do like on certain things, like, oh, I don't want to do this right now or this and that? Like how do you kind of handle objections?
Let's talk about objections in real estate because one of the biggest skills that a real estate agent brings to the table is the skill of negotiation. And at the
Mhm.
end of the day of a negotiation, everybody should feel like it was a win win. Like everybody succeeded. And so honing that skill is really important. And so, yeah, I face a lot of objections in real estate, whether it's about, well, compensation or about pricing or about my marketing strategy. And again, I go back to educating people on why I have this position. I'm not going to dig down on my convictions, but I'm going to explain it. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, try to figure out what do they want out of it, and try to figure out how are we going to make that work.
Hmm. Right.
So, so do we get objections in life? Absolutely. Now, I want to talk about. You said people often lean on that busy schedule issue, and I'm going to tell you that people should be leveraging their busy. I was busy with my kids. I was Girl Scout leader. I was Boy Scout leader. I was school board. I was,
Yeah.
you name it. I was doing it. But when I did it, I also was extremely intentional about utilizing it to grow my business. So a lot of
Yeah.
my business came from those relationships. So
Yeah.
maybe those people that are too busy aren't in the right business or they're not leveraging their busy.
Yeah. Interesting. No, it's a really cool way to look at it. You brought up you're very involved with the community. I see you posting about like your district you're in, like getting people involved, and what's kind of your community involvement nowadays?
So, community is an interesting word to me. To some people, that means your neighborhood. To some people, that means your schools that you're involved in. To some people, it's your church.
Yeah.
My community right now is anywhere in Illinois. I do want to probably in 2024 become a little bit more hyper local again. But for
Okay.
about 15 years of my career, I was in Mundelein. And so I'm very, very involved in the school district where I taught in Mundelein, where I sold real
Hmm.
estate in Mundelein, where I lived many houses in Mundelein. And
Hmm.
again, I want to keep educating the residents about what's going on in that community so they can make good decisions.
Hmm. This, you talked about being on like boards in the past, and like, what are some positions that you held, and like, what does that even entail? I know myself and a lot of people probably listening are like, I'd like to get involved in my community, but I have no freaking clue how to even go about that.
You know, um, I loved having kids while I was building a career because whatever they were passionate in, I became passionate in. So, my daughter was in Girl Scouts. So, I got involved at the Girl Scout level and I became the Girl Scout leader. And then I got involved at the local level where all the Girl Scout leaders. And then I became involved at the Chicago level and I got on the Girl Scouts of Chicago board.
Yeah.
It really just grew based on what my kids' interests were, and
Yeah.
who you met. And I think, again, I live life every day to its fullest. Everybody who meets me will feel that, and they'll know that I'm passionate about whatever I do, whatever's in
Yeah.
front of me.
Yeah. Well,
And
that
that's what
is,
I would
I can
tell
speak
people
to
to do.
that.
So
Yeah.
if you're passionate in something, you're passionate about your dogs, your cats, your kids, the nature, whatever it is, find that
Hmm.
group. That group is in your community and that will be your community. And you'll be happier when you hang out with like minded people and you'll help grow your
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. It seems so obvious, but just like the fundamentals of like being happier, healthier, more energetic need to be reminded into our brains all the time, of just getting in as humans, being social creatures, getting into those environments where people are like-minded as you. I know it's it's so easy to get sucked into, whether it's your family or like neighborhood or whatever. If we're not intentional about it, it almost seems like we can fall stagnant into being around really negative minded people, and it just makes us exhausted and tired. And um but so is that like the advice for that? Say if you're around people who, they're like, "Oh, Risa, you just got a lot of big dreams," or like, just, and these are like people who you live with or family. Like, what advice would you have to like just break out of that like negative environment, just jump into something, or like how do we even do that?
Sometimes it is just a jump. And Tanner, I realize that since 2020, many people are working from home. They live in
Yeah.
this little box on the screen and
Yep.
they're isolated. And
Mhm.
and you get to a point where you don't even feel the need to leave your house because you don't have to go to the store. Amazon will deliver right to you.
Yeah.
And I think you do have to break out of your box and find
Hmm.
your people. And there's a variety of ways to find people, whether it's through Meetup or Facebook groups. Find your passion and just get out there and meet these people.
Yeah. If you need help finding your passion, I'd highly recommend going over to talktotanner.com. We have a slew of coaching exercises and resources to help you understand your values, purpose. This getting out of our comfort zone is, it seems so like the uncomfortable is like what makes life so good. Like uncomfortability is in growth, or like comfort is the state aging. So many of these like things that I read in books. But how is there? What are some things that make you uncomfortable? Like what kind of is still? I mean, you've been pushing the walls on discomfort for a long time now, but like I think everyone still has theirs. Where are your like barricades, and like what are you trying to still improve on, like from a comfort level?
This is going to be embarrassing. Okay. So
Mm.
I've closed over 500 transactions. I'm really comfortable in the world of real estate and helping buyers and sellers. But I'm going to tell you, every time I meet with a buyer or a seller, I get nervous. I get a little
Yeah.
anxious. I can feel my heartbeat speed up. Like, it's uncomfortable because I have anxiety.
Yeah.
I have anxiety when I go out to large groups and I know I have to network and I'm supposed to connect with people. I have
Yeah.
anxiety. And so that is my uncomfortableness is and I need to be intentional to recognize that these are things that are going to help me as a person or me
Mhm.
in my business.
This is I asked I got asked this question at like this coaching seminar thing, and I really liked it. He was like, "Are you an introvert and extrovert?" And then he was asking me, "Well, do you recharge your batteries when you're alone or when you're with a group of people?" How would you answer that question?
That's a great question. And it's interesting. Like, I am charged talking to you right now. And hopefully you
Yeah.
feel it. But
Yeah.
afterwards, I'm going to be completely drained.
Yeah.
And it's going to take me a little bit of time to come back up. So I get my energy from people, but it drains me like crazy. So
Yeah.
if I like to say I'm an introvert, but I can force myself to be an extrovert.
Mhm. It's almost like there's just no black and white answers to these things. Like it's like a little bit of balance and harmony is like the secret sauce of like, yeah, we need to get out there, or at least that's how I feel. Is I live in a really small town now, like we were talking about before the show, and sometimes I feel like I can just go like walk around in the quiet neighborhood and walk the dog and like but it almost gets to the point I get offered to go do a talk or something in the city and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm scared. So, but it's like it's like I need both because when I go do it, then I'm like, wow, I feel like really proud of myself. Or it's like it's really good for growth to do both, wouldn't you say?
Remember how I said, creating those small measurable goals every day and knowing that that's working towards your marathon of life.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just have to overcome things to hit those small little milestones and know that each step is getting you
Mhm.
closer to your big goal.
Yeah. It's it seems like it can be. Have you noticed like a time frame or it's hard work because you're talking about being ahead of the curve. You guys had a great website and technology and timing is such a big part of business. But I've also heard so many stories of people getting their license. They don't do transactions for 6 months and they just dead in the water and move on to something else or whatever. What do you think? Is there like a timeline people should expect? Or like what are some things like when you're getting started that can be like really helpful? It seems like it really fluctuates all the time, like how people do.
So you're talking about getting started in real estate specifically. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I think there are several factors that make a difference on whether or not somebody's successful in their first year. I've seen a lot of people fail. And at first, I took it very personally when people would fail, but then I took it as a reflection activity to figure out what went wrong. And here are the few things that I think went wrong for those people and what they need to find. And the first
Mhm.
one is you want to join a brokerage that provides you with full services, that provides you with coaching, that provides you with support, that provides you with marketing, that provides you with the things that you're not necessarily skilled with yet, and they're
Mhm.
going to help you grow.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Choose the right brokerage. I see a lot of
Mhm.
people go for the one that they think is going to put the most money in their pocket, and that's not always the right one.
Right.
The second thing is all about your induction period. And the induction period is your first 6 months. Your
Mhm.
first 6 months are full of training and coaching and mentoring. And if you are not getting that mentoring that you need from another agent or your manager, then you're again in the wrong place. Or you need to
Yeah.
seek out that person to be there for you.
Yeah.
And the third is all about what you've been talking about, Tanner, and it's about mindset. It's about not allowing excuses to get in your way, about really finding your balance in life, but creating structure so that you are holding yourself accountable.
Yeah. It's the mindset one. Obviously, it's something that gets me so charged up. But these, like, whatever business our listeners are into, this, like, it's like these principles stay the same. Like, we need like guidance, support, structure. Nobody does this alone. And the mindset I find so fascinating. I met this person who is he's a handyman. He's going to help me at one of my rentals do some jobs, and he only works a couple hours a week, and he doesn't make a whole lot of money, but he's just so happy all the damn time. And I'm like, dude, why are you? And he's just like, life's just not that serious. And I'm really, so it's like your mindset. I guess my whole brand here is I feel like it just doesn't have to suck. Like, I feel like in my early stages of business, I like made it suck because I wasn't where I wanted to be, but that wasn't like true at all. So kind of just questioning that and having that like abundance mindset and be like the buildup is like what we're like looking for. I'm sure you can look back at your years and be like really proud of yourself and just like, holy crap, we did a lot of crazy stuff. And there's a reason why I feel the way I do today. But
Hey, Tanner, I think that should be like a bumper sticker. It doesn't have to suck.
right.
That's a
Right.
great tagline. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get caught up in the suck. It doesn't have to.
Yeah. I had a personal trainer and he was talking to me. He's like, Tanner, the more you focus on how bad it sucks, it's going to suck even worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking in my head, yeah, when I'm like kind of letting my mind like no mind, we talk about a lot in meditation and that kind of work. But when I'm like focusing on like what I'm focusing on is what I feel so intensely. So if I'm so focused on that, and because I mean, what are the fundamentals in when you're starting some activities that people tend to not like just getting involved or talking to people or some of these things? But I feel like it's so easy to get locked in to like that negative feeling, but it just doesn't.
I want to tell you about this, and I bet you can relate to this. In real estate, the best tool you've got is relationships, right? The relationships you have with others are going to either get you clients or they're going to refer you clients. And that's what I expect from everybody in my sphere of influence, everybody who I know and hopefully likes me and trusts me.
Yeah.
But many agents, when they get into the business in that first 6 months, get afraid to call people on the phone. And they get afraid to call and say, how are you? How I haven't talked to you. I apologize in 5 years. Tell me about the family. What's going on? Oh, I see on Facebook you've been doing this, this, and this. But people become afraid of that because they get in their mind that people are going to be pissed at them for calling them, or they're going to be angry at them for not talking to them for 5 years. When in reality, they're going to be so excited to hear your voice. You know, people are lonely now. We are isolated, and that personal touch is super important, and it'll help you grow your business.
Yeah. Like, what a 2-for-1. And I like this question of, so it's so easy to care what other people think, right? And I mean, I guess I should start with you. Do you care what people think? Is this something that you can build? What's like advice for this? I feel like this is driving people bonkers. Like, oh, they're thinking this, they're thinking that. It's like they're not thinking about you at all. But it's like, how would you answer that question? Do you care what other people think?
I don't care what other people think. I guess I care a little bit about what my kids think,
Totally.
because I want to be a mentor and a model for them. But at the end of the day, it's about how I feel about myself and my decisions. And did I use my 24 hours appropriately for me?
Yeah.
That's all that matters. And maybe it's because I'm a little bit older, but I don't think I've ever really cared about what other people think. And we create this whole mind story, and you talk to yourself and you self-talk yourself out of doing things that are going to help you be happy and successful.
Right. Yeah. That's it's just nuts how that works. I guess we're just not built to be happy we're like built to just like protect ourselves, like to protect our egos and these kinds of things. And I've really found a lot of peace in asking myself, like, before I talk to somebody in the past, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to ask them, or I don't want them to think less of me or whatever. But asking myself, like, how, if they asked me the same question, how would I feel about it? If one of my friends was reaching out to me and saying, like, hey, I have this business I'm working on, I'm really excited about it, I'm trying to help people, I'm like, hell yeah, dude. That's amazing. Yeah. I'm actually looking to do this. I'm actually looking to move, or I'm actually, oh, I know somebody who's struggling, needs a coach, or yada yada. It's interesting when you actually have that real conversation. Then it's like, oh, yeah, maybe it's not so bad.
And I think what you're saying is, first of all, Tanner, you've always been a very supportive person. You've been somebody who builds culture. Even when you were in my class, I would see you, trying to uplift other people in the room and contribute positive thoughts. If you're hanging out with people that are not like you, and they're not positive and they're not uplifting, you might want to change your people and get out and meet new people.
Yeah. Getting out and meeting new people. It seems it's harder in the sense that we've kind of taken a break from it, and nobody's good at anything they don't do all the time, right? Whether that's going to meetings, giving talks, selling cribs, whatever. If we don't do it all the time, it's going to be tough to be good at it. And I think, like, I know myself, after like the pandemic and all that, I took a real break from being in person and just having like that type of connection. So of course it's going to be a little tough, but you could also argue it's never been easier to like meet people. I feel like people are meetups, events. I mean, there's a million softwares out there to like connect, or all the school district stuff. I'd imagine is public information. I mean, would you agree that it's actually easier now than ever to like find something to do?
I thought I just heard that you can get on Tinder and make friends. It's not just a dating site anymore. I mean, we're breaking down barriers of ways to meet people. But I want to push people to not just get out and go to events, but go to an event and talk to one or two people and make a difference in that relationship. So I'm going to be joining a new chamber in 2024. And I remember when I used to go to the Chamber of Commerce in Mundelein, the first time I went, I didn't know anybody. And I met one person. And then that one person introduced me to another person. So every day I went and said hello to those first few people that I met. And then they'd introduce me to one or two more people. And then by the end of like the first few sessions, I knew everybody in the room. And it made a difference because I felt accepted, and my anxiety level definitely went down. And so if you're going to go out with the intention of meeting people, then make sure you meet one person. You don't have to meet everybody in the room. One.
Yeah. Yeah. This power of one is, it seems so true. It's like so easy to get caught. I'm like, I either sold 100 houses this month, or I am a total loser. And like nothing in between. It's like, that is, just going out there, meeting one person, shaking hands, and just being comfortable. It seems like that's when anxiety tends to like kind of start to melt away. Like you're talking about, heart's beating fast, you're getting a little intense before you're meeting people, meeting clients and such. And then after you start talking and you're meeting with them, and then afterwards, I'd imagine it feels like I'm glad I did that. Or I rarely regret taking action on things that I want to do.
Right. It's that great feeling afterwards. And again, it's that small success that's going to get you through to that marathon, that big win. Every small success adds up. And I love what you just said about just one more. Can I make just one more phone call? Can I talk to just one more person? Can I do one more marketing activity? Can I do one more task of cleaning my house? One more.
Exactly. Well, we're going to transition into a few coaching questions and exercise together. If you're just tuning in the show, good morning to you. We've been knocking through quite a bit. We're going to get to know Risa a little bit better, and you guys are going to see me kind of just some questions I like to ask folks on how we can improve, be healthier, get out of our heads and into the world. That's our mission here. So, Risa, first powerful question for you. What is your number one goal for 2024? What is your number one goal for 2024?
I don't know if I have a number one, but I think it's going to be to make sure my family is happy and healthy.
Okay. Happy family. How could we be a little more specific?
Family.
Happy and healthy. So what's an action item that would allow you to do this? To make your family happy and healthy? Yeah, what's one thing we could do, act upon to make them happy and healthy?
Happy and healthy. Mental health is really, really important to me, as it should be for everybody else. And so one, just making sure that I'm doing a regular check-in and an appropriate regular check-in with my family and making sure everybody is happy.
Yeah. So is this like a weekly call?
Well, it depends on the family member. Some needs it daily, some need it weekly. So figure out a schedule for appropriate check-ins.
Okay. Schedule. Okay, next question we have on here for today. I want you to rate the following 1 to 10 for me, how they're currently going for you. First, we'll start off with your health. How would you rate your overall health, 1 to 10?
I will tell you, when I'm in the right emotional place, my health is a 10. When I'm not in the good emotional space and I'm not feeling good about myself, my health is poor. So today I'm a 10.
Today you're a 10. There's nothing you'd want to improve for your health?
Oh, gosh, Tanner, I guess I should get out and exercise every so often. Get out of this box.
Okay. Exercise. How's something that we could do upon that? Is that like working with somebody, joining a group, like a spin class? I've had a lot of clients who've really enjoyed doing group work and stuff. My mom just recently got this membership at this amazing gym close by, and she's working out with her friend, and that's been really exciting. What's one action item for the exercise part?
Unfortunately, going to the gym created anxiety for me. And so I think I'm going to be like you and just do walks around my neighborhood. I think that's going to help my business, my person, and my health.
Okay.
So I just want to get out and walk.
Walk.
And
what happens when?
No excuses.
Right.
I got hats and gloves, right?
That is true. I've been doing I do a lot of cold water therapy. Highly recommend. I get it if people are like, screw that, I'm not doing it. I hear you. But if people do want to try it, it is absolutely life-changing. There's videos on here. We have a river right here, and in the middle of winter, I'll like jump in it and whatever. But it's water exposure. Anyway, next one we have is wealth. How would you rate your wealth? Wealth, and we can kind of put this with business.
No, let's keep it separate, because I think they are two separate things. And the fact that I think I made a mistake when I was younger, I should have built wealth. Real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth. You've talked about your rentals, and I think everyone should be looking into buying income-producing properties, and have a plan of how you're going to grow that portfolio so that you have wealth. I did not buy into investment properties when I was younger, so my wealth needs a little work, and I'm going to need to work on that in my 10-year plan.
Okay. So where would you rate it right now, 1 to 10?
I would tell you it's probably at a 5.
5?
Yep.
What's an action item that you could do to help get this from a 5 to a 6 in 2024?
There are 2 action items, and one is meet with my financial advisor and make sure I'm on track for my retirement savings. That gives you peace of mind that someday you're going to be able to retire and do what you want to do. And then the second one is, of course, look into buying some of those investment properties.
It's funny. I didn't realize how much that stuff's like Monopoly. Because I got some good ones, I got some bad ones. Me and my girlfriend's actually more handy than I am, and working on stuff and then selling it, get some nicer, do it again, get something nicer. It's crazy how Monopoly actually is on point. But
That's my favorite game.
last one we have is relationships. Relationships, 1 to 10.
Gosh, I could be a little flip and throw out some extreme numbers, but I think that we can always work on relationships. There are people in my phone that I haven't talked to in like 5, 6, 7 years,
Yeah.
and every person I've met is an important relationship. So I'll tell you, I think I'm probably at a 5 in life, and I need to work on reconnecting with people.
What's a 6 look like for you then? Going from a 5 to 6 here in the
A
next
6
couple
means
months.
making more phone calls and checking in and seeing how people are doing,
Okay.
because I really do care how people are doing.
That makes it easy, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Those are just some fun questions that we like to check in and have a support system. If people are a little curious on how, like, the next stages of how these types of things work, your coach works with you, you get these out, and then we just like follow up, nurture, talk. Did you call your kids today? Did you go exercise? Did you make like a new connection? Did you send out Christmas cards? Are you baking pies for people in the neighborhood? Like, what are we doing to actually make this going? And it's just so much easier when you have someone in your corner who cares about your goals as much as you do.
Well, and it's all about my goals as opposed to you telling me what my goals should be.
Yes, this telling people what to do, it just doesn't work. There's people trying to form, or at least that's in the past when I first was getting started. I would just make a list of what worked for me, and I'm like, do that, and then they wouldn't do that, and it's like, okay, new plan. What are you wanting to do? They're like, well, I'd really like to exercise at least 2 times a week. Let's start there, because you don't have to. Yeah, so it's trial and error, folks. You're not going to be perfect right off the bat, but figuring out what we want, I believe, is like always the first step. Awareness to the patterns that we have. Maybe I know personally, I eat a ton before bed. I got this diet that I've gotten written out from a nutritionist. I'm money all day long. And then 8 o'clock rolls around. I'm kind of tired from work. And then it's just like rip open everything and give me everything. But it's finding our vices and trying to improve upon them, right?
Well, the best thing is that every day is a new start.
That is. And like you talked about, it's a marathon. Not going to save the world right this minute. But Risa, where can people learn more about you? How can they connect with you?
Well, one of the best ways is just to go to my website. It is ilrealestateagent.online. On my website, I've got a few good tools that you can check out. One is to find out what your home is worth. You just pop in the address of your home, and it will give you like a Zestimate. If you want to find out really what your home is worth, let me get inside your house and I'll do an estimate for you. But there's this free online tool at Illinois IL Real Estate Agent.online, as well as I have a full MLS. So you can search the MLS however you want to, whatever you want to search for. And nobody's watching you do it. So just go on in and look around. And then, of course, there's a contact me page. So there's that estimate. What is your home worth? And a way to connect with me right there. It's a pretty magical tool we've built.
Yeah.
All
Go
right.
ahead, and this will be in the comments section for anybody who wants to go check out what their home is worth. It's always such a it's genius idea in marketing, really.
Well, and this year, home prices are going way up in Illinois. So what a great time to find out how much equity you have and how much wealth you've built.
Yeah, totally. Risa, last question for you. What is one way that you can be kinder to yourself?
Ooh, that is such a good question. Ooh. Be kinder to yourself. I think it comes back to what's on your board and just living up to what I say I want to do, right?
Yeah.
Fulfill my goals and dreams.
Yeah.
Help my family be happy and healthy and take care of my health and build my wealth. And what's my last one on there? I'm looking behind you, Tanner.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
and
we have
definitely work on those relationships.
Yep.
Yeah, all that.
It's wild to me that so there's this concept I've learned about. It's called the gap and the gain. And there's who you really are and what you really want. And then when our actions do not match who we really are and what we want, it creates this gap. And the gap is what I guess we could call suffering. So identifying who you are and what you want and living in alignment with that, money recipe to feel good and get going for the day. But Risa, I can't help you enough for coming on to the show this morning. Your energy is incredible. Negotiation, just all the skills that you need to be an incredible business owner and team manager and so many more. But again, thank you much. Your story is really, really powerful. Thanks for coming on.
I thank you for inviting me. And I am so proud of you, Tanner, and all that you're doing to help other people be as successful as you are. So thank you.
Cheers. All right, friends. Risa, stick around with us on the show. We're going to be chatting afterwards. But all of you guys have an incredible, incredible day. In case you needed to hear it, I love you. You're badass. You got this. Let's keep getting better. Cheers, friends.